friends, I'm Karina with Sacred Elements. Welcome to my channel. Now let's get started. Hi friends, I'm Karina with Sacred Elements. Welcome back to my channel. Today I am about to take on a very, very big project that has, just like the Serapesia woodii that I did last series, this is something I've been, as a plant parent, been really dreading, which is repotting my Burros tail sedum burrito. I keep getting my hair caught. This is definitely like a plant parenthood moment. This has been happening all day. I have 3 of these beauties, and each one of them has been in a kind of different location, although the last 2 years, these 2 have been upstairs here with me. This beautiful baby has been in my kitchen window, which is only east-facing light, but it does really well there. It's a big window, but it's just morning light basically, and then late afternoon sun during the summer. So this one's actually done really, really well there. I water all of them, depends on the season, but generally I water them once every 2 weeks in the winter, and then in the summer once a week. And just like all the succulents, it's important to water extremely well, but not super often. So if, like I said, once every 2 weeks is actually ideal. If it's a really hot summer day, and it's been that way for a week, you might need to water more often. So, but not just like a top watering. You really want to do it well, and you really want to make sure it has good drainage, which is something we'll talk about again today. As I kind of set up this area to repot some of these, I wanted to talk about drainage and pot choice. And I've talked about this before in my book, actually, and also in my blog post on my website. And it's basically choosing the right pot for your plant and also for your personality. So it may be that you are the type of person who doesn't like to water very often. You forget about your plants. That's gonna basically put you into one category. Versus if you're someone who really loves to overcare and you want to nurture, and you get up in the morning and you have your cup of coffee and you have your water and you just want to go for it all the time and really care for your plants, that's a whole other personality. So I fall somewhere in between, and I have learned over the years that certain pots, so like this one for instance, this ceramic pot, this is a glazed pot, so it's going to keep the water in for a lot longer than, say, a terracotta pot. So for my cacti, they are all in terracotta pots because this wicks away the water much more quickly. It's not going to give the plant a chance to rot or stay wet for too long. So I'll talk more about that with with my other videos, but I just want to touch on this approach that I have. Okay, so I'm gonna jump into it. Here's where well, first of all, if you saw my Instagram feed today, which I don't know, I guess this is a month in advance, you'll see this. You'll see that something that happens quite often is my hair and this, and also my Serapesia woodii, they tend to attract one another. So I'm gonna keep my hair up today. So we'll just put my hair up for now. So today we're going to add to this little stash of beautiful broken leaves that have made their own little plant, and probably I'll start another one. And here's the plan. So my plan is this. I'm going to take cuttings from each one of these, and I'll show you step by step what I do with those cuttings, and in that way I don't have to repot these guys right now, and because they'll have more space. I'll go ahead and kind of gently probably remove a few of them. It will disrupt the leaves, the root system, but that's okay. So here's what I'm gonna do. I'm going to actually kind of check out each one from the top down to see how crowded it actually is. And really, this one is not as crowded as I thought, meaning it has like about this much space in between each vine. So that makes me happy. So then I maybe don't need to yank out as many or any really. I can just do a couple of cuttings to start my new plant instead of doing this like super invasive thing. I don't need to do it. I will still take a chopstick to it to aerate the soil, But for now, I think I'll just go ahead and choose a couple of the cuttings since this all looks so nice. Yeah, let's just do that. Okay. So if you see inside here, this is what I was just looking at. See, there's really not a huge amount of crowding happening up here. See how there's plenty of space actually? So I don't feel like I need to thin this out or repot this one yet. It still has plenty of room. I am going to continue though, I am gonna aerate it just because I haven't done that in over a year and it really should happen more often. Okay, so I got my chopstick and I'll just show you what I'm talking about. So I'm just gonna hold the pot in place from underneath and I'm gonna pick areas where the roots aren't really, I'm not gonna go into the roots or into the stems. I'm going to more do this. Just give it a little twist. Pretend I'm a little earthworm all the way down and then bring it back up. And I'll probably just do that maybe 3 or 4 times. Pretending I'm a little bug. Since our houseplants, we have brought them inside, they're not getting the native environment they would be getting if they were outside. They don't have little bugs crawling through. Choose this spot too. So we're gonna do that work for them. Also, it's really nice to do right before you water or feed or both, because you're really gonna get the water or food really down into the roots. So I'll probably just do one more. Just kind of creating some space in there. Try not to break these very, very delicate leaves. Those of you who have one of these at home know how delicate the leaves can be. Okay, that's about it for now. And then I will water this one and feed it later. But now I know that it has some good aeration. And I'm actually really, just do a couple little short holes too. It's actually looking really good. I'm super happy with what this one looks like. Okay, so we'll go over to this cutie. There's actually, he's always been thinner. This one has always been thinner. All the leaves have always been thinner. And I think it has something to do with when I first started this one out about 5 or 6 years ago. I want to say that it was, well, first of all, I've never transplanted it. Oh, look at this, I figured something out. I've never transplanted this one out of its original plastic pot. It's just in there inside another pot. You see that? So it's still in its plastic pot. And that's interesting. This one has always been smaller and thinner. It's happy, but it's not as fat, you know, as these two. These two I transplanted out of their original plastic pot 3 or 4 years ago, or more, maybe 5. So I'm just gonna go ahead and aerate this. That's interesting. Maybe I will have to do the daunting chore of repotting this one into a different pot if I want it to really thrive. I don't know if I'm up for that yet. That's a lot. For now, we're just gonna take some cuttings and start a new plant. Okay, give it some nice aeration, check out the soil, and then I'll move on to this guy, do the same thing, and then we'll go ahead and take the cuttings. Okay. So also with this, do you guys see occasionally things will drop? Those are just dead leaves, very normal. All plants lose leaves, and if you're losing a couple of leaves that are dried up like this, no big deal. Okay, so from the top down, do you see that it's more crowded than the other one, but not, again, not crazy crowded. See here, the dead leaf, it's fine, dead leaf, no big deal. We still have a lot of really beautiful growth happening. So I'm gonna go ahead and do the chopstick trick again. Wow, there's a lot of beautiful broken leaves that I have replanted. So whenever one breaks off and it's a healthy leaf, I stick it on top of the soil. And if you can see how nice and filled out this is now. So it's gonna be a little bit trickier for me to aerate this soil, but I'm gonna go ahead and do it. And then I'll remove some of the cuttings as well. So, once again, just acting like a little worm so that our houseplants get a little bit more of like a natural, true environment. So another tip, something that I've learned, when you're handling your Burros tail sedum, because the leaves are so delicate, as you can see, they've had broken leaves, I always like to just kind of get my hand very gently and move upward. And then I have a hold of the pot, and then I can move things around without breaking them. I'm just gonna finish checking this baby out and aerating it a little bit more. It is also pretty wet, it's good to know. Must have really overwatered these guys last week. I may have, actually. And one other thing I should definitely tell you about succulents in general is when succulent leaves start to get kind of crinkled, like a little bit more like wrinkly, that generally means we are really thirsty, because succulents hold their water in their leaves. That's the whole idea behind succulents. It's how you can actually tell if a plant is a succulent, if the leaves are at all, like, if there's any kind of like thickness to it, that's a succulent. So that's generally, of course there's gonna be exceptions, but so when the leaves are crinkly or wrinkled, it's because it doesn't have enough water. So again, the best method with succulents is to water very, very well, very deeply, as if it's in a desert environment. Think about its natural environment. It doesn't just sprinkle all the time, but it's like a downpour and then nothing for a long time. So if you think of succulents like that, or like cacti the same way, I water the cacti even less frequently. But if you think of them like that, then you are basically recreating their natural environment. They're gonna be much happier that way, to just get a big watering and then left alone.
Thanks so much for subscribing. If you'd like to connect with me daily, head on over to Instagram at Sacred Elements, or you can find me on my website at sacredelementspdx.com. Be sure to hit that bell for notifications. Cheers, friends.